Alright, so you got no power with something. Let's talk about that. So, there are a few reasons you may not have power. Let's start off with, is the device that you're using turned on, or does it have, has it got a little circuit breaker on it somewhere? Several of the machines that we have here have their own circuit breakers or have their own switches. For example, the grinder, there is a switch just here that needs to be turned on to run. There is a switch on the back of this machine that has can independently turn things off. There may be one on the bottom of this somewhere, I believe there is, but you can have a dig around there if that ever were to have trouble turning on. Now, level 2, is there a power strip? Power strips have their own breaker. So if there, say if we have too much plugged into a breaker, or if there is a fault somewhere, this switch here may have tripped. Maybe it's just been kicked and needs to be turned back on. Level 2. Level 3. Switches like this one here have their own independent switch. This is the one that we use for the transfer pump. I'm sure you guys have all seen a light switch before. This is just a light switch that turns that switch off. That is the only one like that in this hut. Level 4. Is there a breaker? So this is a breaker. There is one over in that corner, clear over there. Hi guys. There's also one out on the deck above that window as well. To reset these breakers, you notice here there is a green light. If that is red, that breaker is tripped. I will make that happen right now by hitting the reset button. Oh, nope. Hit the test button. Actually no, this one turns off. Some of them turn red, some of them just have no light. To make it work again, so right now we plug this in. That won't work because the breaker has tripped. Just here we hit the reset button hard, the light comes back on, plug whatever's back in it, and now it works. Level 5. You've got an entire outlet that's not working, and it's not because there's a GFI breaker like we just looked at. Now we have to go into the breaker panel. Now, a breaker panel with the cover on and properly assembled is nothing to be ever worried about. If there's wires hanging over it or it's soaking wet, be careful and get some help. However, as long as it's put together properly, it's entirely safe to work with. These are all can be touched, there's no issues. So let's pick one of these. This is the blender station breaker number 10. We're going to turn that off for a second. Okay, so you come out here and you look down at them and you go, oh, all of those in the right place, that's good. That one's in the incorrect place. So that is now tripped and is not working properly. We're going to turn it back on just by plopping it over like that. Now sometimes when they're tripped, let me see if I can do it this way, they look like they're in the right direction, but they're loose. You can wiggle them. That one has tripped even though it's in the middle. So you push it this way, it doesn't work. You turn it all the way off, that puts it back into its reset position. You push it all the way over and it stays to the left, it no longer wiggles. That is now working, and you can hear the pump just turn back on the inside as well. Alright, other common problems. One of the most common problems outside, especially at this time of year, is water and stuff getting wet. So we have breakers over there in the breaker panel. We have that's one of the most common issues. Maybe it's been raining or something, something's gotten wet outside and it's tripped a breaker. Inside the Yukon we keep power running to heaters out here in the winter. We can see a light here, we can see a light here, but maybe somebody plugged an extra heater into this power strip. Maybe now there's too much power coming through here because there's 2 heaters running into this, or 3 plug-ins plugged into it. These can't handle 2 big heaters at the same time. They're okay with these big heater and this tape heater that keeps everything warm. If somebody plugs a 3rd one in, it's probably going to trip, and that will be turned off there. So I'm going to turn that back on, and now we've got lights on. You can see the light here, everything's working there. We check that on a regular basis. Maybe this got soaking wet and it tripped the main breaker. We're going to go back and see if the main breaker is on, but maybe that is on and the switch in the Yukon isn't working. So we say, well, what's in between there? We look inside, we might say, is it plugged in properly? Okay, so it's plugged in properly. It's not plugged into another power strip on the inside, because power strips can only handle so much voltage. Maybe we just double check it. There is a power strip in there as well. That goes straight off an extension cord and goes straight into the wall. But are the lights on in there? Okay, so that's working. I'll show you another box down here. This one's going to be covered in snow right now. But inside there is another power strip that runs off of a different extension cord. There's 2 little handles on the side that open up. I'm not going to do it right now because that's a waterproof box that if you carefully put it back together and don't jostle it around too much, it's not too difficult to work with. But there might be another power strip in there that needs to be reset as well. Now, certainly in winter, you might say, well, is there... I'll explain this right now just in case, but if these are turned off, can you see Charlie Brown's lights? Oh, there he is. Okay. If he's turned off, it's probably that that breaker, that power strip we just looked at, is turned off. However, if it's things on that end of the deck, these all come back to these panels just here. There's a power strip there that's running some lights, like the Christmas lights and all that. There's also another GFI breaker up there that may need to be reset. Oh, I just remember there's one other thing inside that has a switch, which is in that corner behind the tower. There is a switch that controls one of these outlets out here. So if it's something anywhere this direction, it could come back to these, and if it's anything from there over to the area and the Yukon and all that, it's going to come back into this area here, and ultimately everything's going to come back to the breaker box. So it's almost certainly one of those things, unless there is something else broken. Maybe it's a broken wire, maybe it's a broken wire, maybe it's something different. Could answer most electrical questions that ever go wrong. Good luck.